Welcome back. Some Republicans are proposing a major change to who controls Wisconsin's elections. 24 states currently have an elected Secretary of State as the chief election official, and that's what some Republicans want to see here. Right now, it's the State Elections Commission in charge. The agency has come under intense scrutiny since the 2020 election. And now Wisconsin's longtime Democratic Secretary of State, Doug LaFollette, is pushing back, preparing to potentially seek re-election, and talking with Upfront executive producer and political correspondent Matt Smith.
In the bowels of the state capitol, tucked away in the basement, along the narrow hallway next to the mail bins, is Wisconsin's Secretary of State. Doug LaFollette has been elected and held the post for some 40 years.
Is this the smallest office space you've ever occupied?
Oh yeah, right. No question about it.
LaFollette has seen his staff dwindle from 50 to single digits, alongside a majority of his office's power taken away.
That's what I did with the electors, a similar process.
Yet one power he still holds is signing off on the state's electors, a move in 2020 that received unprecedented attention.
The Democratic electors were brought to me. That's one of my remaining duties. And I authenticated the governor's signature on that list of electors. And then I was presented later, not at the same time, by Republican electors. As you know, in several states, they got together and they decided to submit Republican electors to support Trump. And they brought them to the office, and I smiled and put them in a drawer and forgot about them.
The House committee investigating the January 6th attack is now also investigating those Republican electors in 7 swing states, including Wisconsin, as some Wisconsin Republicans now push to eliminate the Wisconsin Elections Commission and hand control of the state's elections to the Secretary of State.
What would that do to the state's elections if the power and control was given to the Secretary of State?
Well, it could, depending on the situation, result in the same thing we saw a couple of years ago when the Trump campaign all across the country was challenging elections. And they were trying to get secretaries of state to make changes, to find ballots, quote unquote. And so that's what could happen. And if it was a sympathetic person to the campaign that was trying to change things, it could be a real problem.
There are a number of Republicans who have already said they are going to run or are running for Secretary of State. Would this be your hardest campaign given the current political climate?
I think it could be.
LaFollette, the 81-year-old who still requires his staff to wear masks, says collecting the 3,000 signatures needed to get on the ballot would be his biggest personal challenge, citing concerns about the pandemic, but says given what's unfolding politically, he's finding options to do just that.
Have you seen this hard of a push to transform the office to oversee the state's elections?
No. Occasionally it's been talked about, and I've always opposed it. But no, this is the first time that it's been serious. And the reason it's serious is, let's be quite honest, our country is in crisis when it comes to elections. And if they are successful in 20-some states at electing Trump supporters to the office of Secretary of State, and they control the governors in those states and the legislature, they could easily change the result of the next presidential election. That is serious stuff.
Does that give you more ambition to run as a Democrat?
It definitely does. I've been encouraged. I've gotten a lot of encouragement from Democrats and some Republicans, to be quite candid, saying that I should run because I probably am the most electable Democrat.
And I can't imagine the Republican-controlled legislature, and if a Republican governor were elected, would hand over control to you.
No, I don't think so.
So, Matt, as you mentioned, several Republicans are getting in this race. It could become high profile.
Yeah, and this election talk is really going to be the center of it. We already know that State Representative Amy Loudenbach from Clinton has announced she's going to run. She's been on the Budget Committee, and she said she wants to restore some more power to this office, including some election administration. At least 4 others have announced, GOP candidate Jay Schrader, who ran in 2018, as well, and we could see more in the coming weeks.
When do you think Doug LaFollette will make a decision?
That's a good question. Likely soon. The signature gathering begins in about a month, and he said that really is his biggest concern for him, given the pandemic. He also did tell me, though, several Democrats have told him they will run. If he doesn't, he wouldn't name any names, though, for us.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you. Up next, more late-night absentee ballot counting in Milwaukee. The county clerk is here with new reaction to lawmakers in action.